There we are, Arts in the Credit Gallery, Host Spontaneous Diversity by Brenda Brown. Since she was very young, Brenda loved creating art. She's self-taught and enjoys working with a variety of mediums, including acrylics, oils, watercolor, scratchboard, alcohol inks, and mixed media. She gets a different sense of fulfillment depending on the medium she's working with. Brenda is a member of the Women's Art Association of Canada, Arts in the Credit, Visual Arts Mississauga, and Toronto West Arts Collaborative. Brenda's work has been chosen for juried shows, and many of her pieces hang in several international locations. And here we go. There's a full, not completely full, but almost long range view of the gallery. And we'll start here. This is called Flight of the Dragonfly, and I'm just going to explain for anyone who hasn't visited the gallery before that this bar will give you all the information you need to have regarding each painting. So, Flight of the Dragonfly tells you the media, alcohol, ink, and stamping, and a little story, which we're going to hear from Brenda, and the price. And in this space, inquire, if you want to contact the artist, just click there. Here you see the template. You put in your email, the message you'd like to send to the artist, and then the picture's there with all the info. So the artist knows what painting you're talking about. And invite gives you all the icons for the social media platforms. So if you want to share what you've seen, any of the pictures or any of the paintings, you can just click on your social media of choice, Facebook, Twitter. You can even email someone. So that gets invites sent out to your friends. And this media part of the bar takes you directly to the artist's website, where you can see more of their work. Let's go through. There's an interesting one. So let's turn it over to the artist, to Brenda Brown. And what would you like to tell us about this artwork, Brenda?
First off, I'd like to thank anybody who's viewing this and coming to go on my journey with me through the show. Thank you for joining us. I also wanted to explain a little bit about mixed media, because you're going to be hearing me speak of mixed media a lot during this exhibition. Mixed media is when you use more than one medium to create a piece of art. So alcohol ink is a medium, stamping is a medium, watercolor is a medium, oil is a medium, paper. It's just using more than one thing to create your art. So that's what mixed media is. So this piece is called Flight of the Dragonfly. It's a mixed media piece. It's alcohol ink and stamped ink. It's 11 by 14 and it comes framed at 11 by 22. The first time I was introduced to alcohol inks by another artist from Arts on the Credit, Sandra Robson, I was immediately thrilled with this medium. When I did my first piece, I loved the way it traveled around, the unique forms that transpired, the color patterns I could create by adding different color drops, and things that happened when you added rubbing alcohol drops to the piece. It was nothing short of psychedelic. It so reminded me of the tie-dye days when you never knew what the final piece was going to look like until you undid the strings. I knew I wanted to create more pieces with this medium, but I wanted to be able to put my own personal touch on them. I found using various techniques I could layer images on top of alcohol ink. By ghosting, I could extract the ink from the piece, leaving a ghosted image. In this piece, I created my desired colored background using the alcohol inks. Then I added the dragonflies using ink dragonfly stamps in a random pattern.
That's really interesting. I haven't seen that ghosting technique before.
Yeah, this is the stamping one. The ghosting technique, there's a liquid medium that you can put on the stamps. When you put it on your alcohol ink, you leave the stamp down for a couple of minutes, you raise your stamp, and then the ink starts going away like a ghost. And
Wow.
it leaves a ghosted image.
Wow. Oh, like a secret garden.
Yes, this piece is called The Secret Garden. It's mixed media, alcohol ink, and ghosting techniques using stamped ink. It's 11 by 14. It comes framed at 11 by 22. I named this piece The Secret Garden because deeply embedded in the piece, I have ghosted and stamped images within. If you look real close, you will see the secret images of hummingbirds, flowers, leaves, other single flowers, and ladybugs. I like to create pieces with a bit of mystery within them to portray that what you see isn't always the whole picture. When you look deeper beyond the surface of people and things, there is more beauty within. Yeah, with little dragonflies. I mean, the little ladybugs.
Little ladybugs here and here. Yeah.
Above my signature, there's a hummingbird.
Whoops.
A blue hummingbird in the purple part there.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, there's the head and the beak.
Yeah. And there's all kinds of little surprises everywhere within that piece.
Really makes you look.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
This piece here is called Ghosted Lace and Dragonflies.
Yep.
Alcohol ink using ghosting techniques. It's an 8 by 10 and it comes framed at 15 by 18. This piece is also done in alcohol ink. I did the alcohol ink part of this image with more pastel colors to create a lighter feeling for the background. I then used the technique of ghosting to lift the ink, leaving a ghosted image. When you look very closely at this piece, you will see dragonflies and lace within the piece. So you can see.
Yeah, I see a dragonfly here.
Yeah, and up in the left-hand corner, you'll see a piece of lace.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I do. Oh, and here's another one. Another dragonfly.
Yeah. Keeps you moving around on the piece.
Well, that too, yeah.
This piece here is called For the Love of Earth Repurposed. It's mixed media. Its three-dimensional hearts are made from repurposed coffee cup holders and egg cartons painted with acrylics. It's 12 by 24 on a gallery wrap canvas. I created this mixed media piece using coffee cup holders and egg cartons. I cut them into very small pieces and boiled them down, bringing them back to pulp. Then drain them and shape them into the desired shapes I wanted for my art. When I was thinking about creating this piece, my hopes were to portray my love of Mother Earth, plus incorporate landfill items to express a way to repurpose things that are threatening her. I know a lot of people recycle some items that I use in my art, but I have also seen them tossed to the garbage. Coffee cup holders are used to transport coffee from their destination. The coffee gets passed out to individuals, and then the holders get tossed directly into the garbage. A very short life for so much work to make them.
Mhm.
Same with egg cartons. They leave the farm to the grocery store, get purchased and go to the homes. Then once the eggs are gone, they too get tossed. I remember taking egg cartons back to the farmers who refilled them with more eggs. They were always so thrilled to see the cartons being returned to them.
Sure.
I also wanted to inspire children, people, and other artists who see my work to try using these landfill mediums for their creation pieces. This gives the items a much longer life and purpose. A piece of art can live on for many generations to come.
Lovely. I like the
And
colors.
the earth heart at the top is painted with acrylics, and the rest of the hearts are made from recycled materials.
Hmm.
This one is called Burst for Earth. It's also mixed media. It's alcohol paint, and three-dimensional centers of the flowers are also made from the repurposed coffee cup holders and egg cartons, painted with acrylics. It's 16 by 24 on gallery wrap canvas. This mixed media piece was also created using the pulp that I mentioned in the last piece, coffee cup holders and egg cartons. On this piece, the centers of each of the flowers were shaped from the pulp. I also use modeling paste to add texture and dimension to the flower petals. Another thing I do once in a while on a piece is I sprinkle it lightly with glittery fairy dust to have it sparkle when the light hits it and to bring a little luck to the home it goes to.
Gorgeous color.
Thank you. This piece here is called Flourishing Petals. It's mixed media, acrylic and modeling paste with some sprinkled fairy dust. It's a 12 by 12 on gallery wrap canvas. This mixed media piece was created using modeling paste and acrylic paint. The modeling paste gives the piece a raised three-dimensional look and texture. This piece is also sprinkled lightly with glittering fairy dust to have it sparkle in the light and to give the new homeowner a little bit of luck.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see in person some of these pieces because the glitter, the fairy dust, it doesn't show.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of these days we'll be able to do that again.
For sure. And this piece here is called Fragipani. The meaning is strength against challenges. It's a watercolor, 8 by 10, comes framed at 12 by 16. I seen these flowers during our travels to Mexico. I really loved the colors and the soft texture of the petals. They were like velvet, and the large leaves had different shades of green. It seemed that everywhere we went, this flower, which is named Fragipani, would appear before us, so I took pictures of them and decided I wanted to paint them upon our return. I know many flowers have meanings behind them, so I decided to look up the meaning of this one. I was pleasantly pleased to find out that the meaning was strength against challenges. It was such a beautiful meaning to me, as I always feel I can find renewed strength when I'm facing challenges in life by painting. I had not painted in a while, so it was like these flowers were put in my path to give me my desire to paint again.
And are they always that color, Brenda?
I don't know. The ones that I seen were pink. I should look it up and see if they come in different colors. But the ones that I seen were all pink. Pink and like an oranges.
Lovely. And is it a high plant, like a bush, or?
Yeah, it's kind of like a rose bush that's growing high.
Oh,
right?
okay.
But it had all these flowers.
Yeah.
And I like that when they were, before they became a flower, the little things were all like a real deep color.
Oh, this is interesting. I love this.
Yeah. This piece here is called The Bookkeeper. It's a watercolor. It's 11 by 14 and it comes framed at 19 by 23. This piece was painted from a reference photograph by the original photographer Marie Bedard-Caton with permission. I belong to a group where photographers post their pictures, giving artists free rights to paint them. And this is an amazing group, as I cannot always get out to take my own reference pictures and don't get the quality I require to paint a photograph. When I seen this photo of this mysterious gentleman, he pulled me into the scene immediately. I wanted to walk and talk with him. I had so many questions for him. Why are there green bands wrapped around your jeans? What's the name of your village? Why are you walking with a cane? What injury caused you to need this? What are the books you are carrying in your arm? I wondered if he was an old bookkeeper from the days when we used ledgers to record our transactions. Perhaps he was returning from the library and he was on his way home to sit by a fire with a nice cup of tea and would settle for a read. Maybe they are his books of worship. The coat he wore was so different, and you could tell his hat was well worn with its fading spots. I liked that his hat shielded his identity. The village also was old and unique. I just wanted to be in there exploring all the buildings as well. I like to recreate scenes that I feel will also have the viewer intrigued.
Yeah, it is fascinating
Mm-hmm.
because it certainly isn't in this time, it's some past time.
Mm-hmm. And this is the thing about this place where the photographers post these images. It's like they're photographs, so they've taken them at some point in time, right?
Yes, right. Maybe inherited or something. Yeah, it's really interesting. Or a different country, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frolicking Forest.
Yes. This one's called the Frolicking Forest. It's a watercolor, 11 by 14. It comes framed at 16 by 20. Some of my most peaceful times in my life are when I've been amongst the forest and around water. I painted this on a day when I just wanted to get away to a peaceful place when I would spend hours walking and contemplating life in the forest. When I look at it, I can be transformed back into a very special place on my parents' land. The forest, the streams, and the ponds where I spent so many moments in time. I hope it will bring the owner into the forest at any time needed as well to escape.
It does look peaceful.
This piece here is called Mediterranean Jugs. It's acrylic on masonite board. It's 11 by 14 and comes framed at 15 by 18. This was the first way I learned how to paint on masonite board, gessoing the board and sanding to ensure it would hold the paint for years to come. I have seen many jugs upon our travels to different countries, but when I came across these ones, I gazed a little longer than normal. I thought it was very cool that someone had created a jug crate holder that hung on the wall. It keeps the jugs off the floor and has now created a decorative feature on the wall. The jugs were so rustic and cracked, missing pieces, and yet instead of throwing them away, they continued to still use them. What I got from this piece is that not all broken things are useless. And just because you're old doesn't mean you no longer have purpose.
Ooh. Look, come here.
This piece is This piece is called Hello Dolly. It's mixed media. It's glue gun art. It's made using glue gun to sketch. Then I painted it with acrylics. It's 16 by 20 on canvas. This was a personal challenge to me. I had heard about artists creating art using glue gun, which would give it dimension. I immediately wanted to try it too. So I decided I wanted to paint an elephant. I sketched the elephant onto the canvas first. Then I went over the sketch lines with the glue gun. I then gessoed to cover the complete piece to ensure the paint would adhere to the plastic glue, as I knew acrylic plastic paint would not adhere to plastic glue. Once I completed the gesso stage, I completed the piece by painting it. I was having problems trying to figure out what to call this piece, so I sent it to a very dear friend of mine named Judith. She loved it and said immediately, "You must call her Hello Dolly," without a second thought. So that is how Dolly got her name and gender.
Fascinating. Really.
It's so fun.
Yeah, but also you need a lot of patience and skill using that glue gun.
I know your hands shake in the piece.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's, that's why my show Spontaneous Diversity. I spontaneously want to try things. This was one of them.
Ooh, like this.
So then I went on to create more pieces. This one's called Murse Messengers. This is also glue gun art, made using glue gun to sketch, then painted with acrylics. It's a 16 by 20 on canvas. When I used to drive in the country with my mother, every time we came across a flock of crows, she would recite this poem: 1 for sorrow, 2 for mirth, 3 for weddings, 4 for birth, 5 for silver, 6 for gold, 7 for a secret never to be told, 8 is a kiss, 9 is a wish, and 10 is a bird you must not miss. Depending on the amount of crows you've seen together, had different meanings behind the sight of them. And the poem 2 crows together means mirth. So when you see 2 crows together, you are sure to hear some good news that will bring you much happiness.
That's interesting. I've not heard that saying before. But
yeah, we'd be driving in the country and all of a sudden we'd see a flock of crows, we'd pull over and start counting them, right?
Right. You
never
would,
wanted to
that.
see. Yeah, never wanted to see one by itself because it meant sorrow, right? So we're always looking for the second and third one. He's got to be around somewhere. He can't be there all by himself. Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Straight lines with a glue gun. Brenda.
Yeah, that was fun. This one's called While My Guitar, mixed media. Glue gun art made using glue gun to sketch and painted with acrylics. It's 16 by 20 on canvas. This is another glue gun piece. The guitars in this piece belong to my son Jay. My father was a luthier. He built custom acoustic guitars right from scratch, playing the wood from the trees. I was lucky enough to have grown up with a musically gifted family and lots of guitars. When I was little, I used to help my dad in his workshop building guitars. And when I got older, I could cut and saw all the mother of pearl frets and pieces for the top design of the guitar that would be inlaid by my dad. So one day, I was at my son's looking at 2 of his many guitars. I thought, I must paint some of his guitars one day. I will paint one of my dad's acoustic guitars in the future and build one too. I had just done a couple of glue gun pieces, so I thought, I'm going to try to do the guitars with the glue gun too. It sure is not easy trying to get straight string lines, but it's art, and not everything in art has to be perfect. The fun was trying to get it as realistic as possible using glue. I named it While My Guitar and stopped there because I knew everyone from my generation would immediately fill in the blank, gently weeps, as I sometimes do, reminiscing on times gone by.
Oh, sweetheart. Here. The
This
girl
piece
with the
here,
pink hat.
yes. This piece here is called The Girl with the Pink Hat. It's a watercolor. It's 11 by 14 and it comes framed at 16 by 20. When I paint people, I like to paint them with a bit of mystery to their identity. So I paint them with only parts of their face exposed, as with this little girl. My subjects will always have their faces covered or partially covered. They may even be standing backwards. I feel it adds a little mystery to the pieces. I love seeing sun hats on little girls. My granddaughter has a pink hat, so I chose a pink hat to represent her. And this piece is called Dreaming of Paris. It's mixed media. It's pencil sketched with watercolor hints in their hair ties and the teddy's eyes. It's 11 by 14. It comes framed at 16 by 20. This girl reminds me of the younger me. From a very young age, I painted and I sketched. The artist and also a writer that inspired me most when I was young was a female Canadian artist named Emily Carr. After reading her autobiography, Growing Pains, about her life, I aspired to be like her. She was rebellious and brave and adventurous and painted with purpose to leave legacies behind. Her book transformed me into her adventures with her. Emily Carr spent most of her time painting the totems, monumental sculptures, indigenous people, towering trees, and scenes from the indigenous tribes and villages. She wanted to ensure that there would always be paintings of the totems long after they weathered and at times got stolen. She was so fearless, going up rivers in canoes on her own and painting whenever she stopped along the way. She ended up moving to Paris, where her paintings were displayed in the Louvre Museum. As a child, I thought that would be the perfect place to end up with my art. So this little girl gazes at the Eiffel Tower, dreaming of the day she too will be there with her paintings. One of my highlights was when I was invited to join the Women's Art Association of Canada, which is over 140 years old. Then found out that Emily Carr had a studio right in our building. So I got to go hang out in her studio many, many times. And I would go as often as I could just to feel her presence. And one of my favorite quotes from Emily Carr is, which a lot of other artists will identify with. This is one of her quotes. The woods are brim full of thought. You just sit and roll your eyes. And everywhere something is saying something. Trick is to adjust one's ears trumpet. Don't try to word it. Don't try to force it to come to you your way, but try to adapt yourself to its way. Let it lead you. And I find in my paintings, when I let go and let the process happen instead of trying to control it, it works out a lot better.
Yeah, they seem to have a way of doing that, don't they? Taking control and kind of directing you to do something you hadn't really planned on doing.
I think Bob Ross used to say, happy mistake, right?
Right, yeah.
I used
Very
to like him
interesting.
Too. Yeah. This piece here is called Music On, World Off. It's a mixed media. It's acrylic and decoupage to music sheets. It's 16 by 20 on canvas. When the world gets too busy and stressful, my way to escape is to put on the music. Music can instantly make me feel so much better and soothe my soul. I always listen to music while I'm painting, as it just makes me feel so good and creates a perfect atmosphere to create in. I sing and I paint and all is good in my world.
Yeah. Can't imagine a world without music.
Oh, I know. This piece here is called the Ballet Blanc, the Enchanted Dancer. It's watercolor, 11 by 14, comes framed at 16 by 20. I used to love watching ballet movies and seeing the ballet in person when possible. Such a beautiful art form. Ballet blonde scenes in a ballet are where all the dancers wear white dresses or tutus. It is typically a romantic style ballet from the 19th century. The scenes are populated with ghosts and enchanted maidens and fairies and other spirits. I silhouetted this ballerina to go back in time to a beautiful ballet blanc ballet scene.
Okay.
I get into doing that a lot, the silhouettes. I like doing silhouettes too.
Mm-hmm. Oops.
And this piece here, I'll show it to you after I actually have it here with me. It's called Ladybug, Ladybug, Where Are You? It's mixed media. It's repurposed milk and juice carton caps and acrylic interactive art. It's 8 by 10. The mixed media piece was created using caps that come on the milk and juice cartons. I feel it is very important for me to use pieces that would end up in landfills in my mixed media pieces. I thought these caps are perfect for inside the flowers. Then I thought, wouldn't it be even cooler if I could hide a little surprise like an insect inside? When you screw off the caps, the answer to the name of the piece is answered. Ladybug, Ladybug, where are you? Underneath the caps. The caps are covered with material pieces I have left over from making masks and sealed so that when you unscrew the cap over and over, no oils from your fingers will come off onto the material. It will make a very interesting conversation piece. If someone is admiring the piece of art in your space, you can tell them all about the repurposed caps, then show them by removing the caps, the hidden ladybugs, and the story behind the artist that uses repurposed materials. I also restore lawn ornaments to keep them out of landfills as well. Over the years, the paint wears off and sometimes pieces crack. So I will fill in the cracks and repaint them so they can live many more years in a beautiful garden. I started doing these because I owned some pieces that belonged to my mom, and they had way too much sentimental value to end up in a landfill. So that's how I started repurposing lawn ornaments. But back to this piece, this is it here.
Oh, just a moment, let me get rid of this so we can see. Hang on. There we go.
So this is the piece here. So if you open the caps, you can see that there's ladybugs inside the caps.
Huh.
And then
So you made the little ladybug separately and put her in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many trial and errors with that piece because at first I had painted the caps, but I wanted to make sure that these pieces would last years and years to come. So the wear and tear of opening and closing with the paint, because the paint is acrylic and the caps were, the paint was acrylic, which is plastic, and the caps are plastic. Plastic doesn't stick to plastic. So if you unscrew them and open them up again, the paint started coming off. So then I thought, okay, well, I'll just cover them in material. And then I thought, well, the oils from people's skin is going to go on and off and maybe ruin the painting by having oil on it. So then I sealed the material, put it on the cap, and bingo.
Wow.
Perfect recipe.
Yeah, well, if you're going to try new original things like that, that's what happens, right? You've got to try different things to make it work.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but you persevered.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not one to give up. I'll keep going until I find a way for it to work.
Oh, good for you. Thank you so much for sharing your work, Brenda.
Well, thank you so much to you and Arts on the Credit and everybody behind the scenes that makes this such a wonderful experience, and all your hard work and effort. It's so appreciated. and
Thank
everybody who
you.
came to visit the gallery.
Yes, yes, for sure.